How did I buy a Tesla with $0 out of my pocket? That's the topic for today's episode, and without further ado, let's dive in. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode at Novarise Invest. If this is your first time tuning into this channel, this is your channel for real estate education. So today's episode, it's a little bit different than the usual stuff I put out there. The reason why I decided to do this episode is to share the details that actually led me to make the decision of buying a new car, in this case, a Tesla, even though I was happy with the one that I already have. So in essence, I actually didn't need a car. What I really needed to do was to spend money. Wait, what? Did you just say spend money? I don't understand. It's easy. Well, you will think spending money would be that easy, right? But no, it doesn't work that way. See, when you are an investor, you're actually wired to think a little bit different than most people, right? So in my case, the way I go about things, the way I go about spending money is that every time I spend money, I ask myself one question. Does this purchase help me make more money? Or is it just a purely emotional purchase? If it's a purely emotional purchase, forget about it. I won't proceed with it. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to spend money for the sake of just spending money, right? So wait a minute. Are you saying that you will only spend money only if this one criteria is met? And that is, every time you spend money, that spends will generate you more money. Is that correct? Yes, you heard that correct. See, I like to call those smart expenses. So what is a smart expense? Well, it's an expense that you go and you spend the money and it will generate a deduction for your business. So that way you can reduce your taxable income and hopefully pay less taxes in your return, while at the same time is helping you and your business generate even more money. All of it at the same time. But wait a minute. What does it matter, you might be wondering? Well, it matters a lot, and it has to do with taxes. For those who are investors or business owners out there, you will probably know what am I talking about. But if you're not there quite yet and you're trying to educate yourself to get to that point, don't worry, that's what I'm here and that's why I created this episode, so that you can understand my thinking process, okay? So before diving in and giving you all the details about why I decided to do what I do, let's first take a step back, right? So for those who don't know yet, I actually quit my full-time job in 2020. In fact, I quit my full-time job and 1 week later, they announced the pandemic shutdown. It was a very, very, very scary time of my life. However, I am very glad I did it because that actually allowed me to put 100% of myself, all of my energy into the growth of Novarise, while at the same time, it allowed me to dedicate myself 100% to my investments. And at the end of the day, I realized that educating people, providing financial education, it's actually a lot more fulfilling than having a full-time job. So prior to quitting my full-time job, I was at a certain tax bracket. Why? Because I was actually capped at a salary. And yes, I did make rental income, but all of that rental income was actually offset with the depreciation that you can take in real estate and also some of the operating expenses. So it actually ended up reducing some of my taxable income, which I will say led me at a decent tax bracket, so to speak, right? But then after I quit my job, because of the fact that I was putting 100% of myself in growing Novarise and at the same time growing my investments, I wind up generating or producing a lot more revenues. In fact, I generated so much revenue that I wind up in the highest tax bracket when I went to file my taxes in 2020. And yes, I mean, I guess some of you might say, hey, good job, girl. You got it right there. But taking a step back and thinking about the overall picture, yeah, it's a great achievement, but you know, paying all of that money to Uncle Sam still hurts. And then I had to sit down and sort of like take it all in and deal with the pain of like paying so much money in taxes. And then I had to ask myself, what exactly am I doing wrong? Because if I am providing all of this financial education and all of these tips about reducing your taxable income, how come I still wind up being at the highest tax bracket possible? So I decided that it was time to go ahead and get going with the research. And I dig and I dig and I dig in. And then it's when it hit me. Uncle Sam likes to reward people who spend a lot of money, and not just random money, but you have to spend money and create something that it's gonna add to the greater cause and add to the greater good. And that's when the idea of purchasing a Tesla came to mind. The purchase of the Tesla wasn't actually for me. The Tesla, it's actually a company car. And what happens when you buy an asset under the company? Well, that asset helps you generate even more money. But wait a minute, I'm confused. I always thought that if you buy a car, that wouldn't be an asset. A car will in fact be a liability. And you got me right there. It's true. A car is a liability if you have to work for it, if you have to constantly work to pay for it, to afford it. But when you have a car and that car is generating money for you, that's when it becomes an asset. Think of Uber, for example. Yes, you have to buy a car, but then as you are doing your thing with Uber, you generate more money, not only to afford the car, but also to pay your rent, to pay for your stuff and your phone, your bills, you name it, right? So that's kind of like the same analogy here, right? So now you're wondering, okay, I get that, but I still don't understand how does a Tesla fit into, the whole concept of Uncle Sam and the business and generating more money. Please enlighten me. And yes, I am here to enlighten you. And for that, what we're going to do, we're going to go straight to the board. So we got point number one, right? So this car, the purchase of this Tesla, it's a company car. So what happened when you get a company car? The money that you use to purchase this car, it's coming out straight from your business. It doesn't come from Lucilia. It doesn't, no. Me? No. Wow. None of my money. The money comes straight from the business. And whenever you make an expense on behalf of the business and you use the company money to spend on something, what do? You wind up getting a tax deduction. Right? And this is not something that I'm making up. You can actually check on the IRA or see the screenshot that I'm sharing with you right now. Every time you purchase a company car, the cost of that car is 100% deductible, right? So what does it mean for you when you get to deduct the cost of a car from your company, right? So let's say that in 2020, you generated $520,000. Congratulations, good for you, right? So you have $520,000. But this amount of revenue will place you once again at the highest tax bracket possible, 37%, right? And so you're trying to find ways to reduce that taxable income. So maybe not only you pay less taxes, but hopefully you can be in a lower tax bracket, right? So you got $70,000. And when you do the math right here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You wind up with $550,000. So Uncle Sam is going to come in and say, okay, let me see what you did right here. So you generated $520,000, $70,000. It's a business deduction for you. I'm gonna, give you a discount in your taxable income. And at the same time, you're helping me stimulate the economy because at the end of the day, isn't the goal of all of these stimulus bills to, get money going and circulating in the economy and help the economy come back up? Hey, you managed to do that. Congratulations. So that's right. Yeah, you get the $70,000 discount. So instead of you paying taxes on $520,000, you will pay taxes on $450,000. That's one thing. But the good perks don't end there. Another great thing about the strategy that I just implemented is that number 3, when you have a company vehicle, you get to depreciate the vehicle as well. So you get to do depreciation just like you will do with real estate. So depending on the type of car that you have, you can take an accelerated depreciation, you can take depreciation on the vehicle in the span of like 5 years, I believe, or something like that. But let's just say that on the depreciation, you agree that, you know what, I'm just gonna take it throughout the span of 5 years. I don't wanna take it all in one shot. And so you have $450,000, and now you're gonna get to take the depreciation of the vehicle. Let's just say, for example purposes, we're gonna round out the number to $20,000. Now you're taking a depreciation of 20,000. So that means that your taxable income is now $430,000, which automatically, just with this one expense, it dropped your taxable income. And in addition to that, it actually put you in the lower tax bracket, saving you tons and tons of money. And the beauty about it is that not only you get to save money, you stimulate the economy, and in addition to that, you are actually helping the environment because you're investing in an electrical vehicle. So, okay, Licelia, I understand that. I got the deduction part, I got the discount, and I can see why you would say you're generating more money because you're saving money in taxes, so you're keeping more money in house, right? That's what Robert Kiyosaki will say. It's not so much about how much money you make, but how much money you manage to keep in house. But I'm still not convinced on how you truly make more money, how you really make more money, right? Can you care to explain? Sure, fair enough. I understand where you see the confusion, and I even understand why you could be a little skeptical about this whole thing. So let's just go ahead and share another example to help you understand. But before I do that, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do not forget to hit the like button right here so you can help this episode rank and help others like you who are looking for information of this kind. And if for whatever reason you happen to know anybody or a friend or family member who's looking for information of this kind, feel free to share the love and send this episode their way. So now back to the episode. Okay, I understand you want to know how you can truly generate money with this whole vehicle thing, right? So let's just think about this. A vehicle in itself really cannot generate any money for you. That's the truth, because it's just a car. But if you use that as a tool to help you generate, if you assign a role, let's say, if you assign a role to the car in itself, now that car becomes not only an asset, but it will also fulfill a role in your company. So what I decided to do is to make the car our chief marketing officer. Yes, you can actually do that. And in fact, it's a lot easier than you think. And here's the brilliant twist, right? That's why you need a great power team with you. And this was actually an idea that we all came up together between Anthony, who's the co-founder of Novarise, and also our accountant, Henry Aldana, right? So we were talking, okay, how can we make this car work for us 24/7, right? Because the IRS also has a rule that says, hey, if you have a company car, you have to be able to demonstrate that you're using that car for at least 50% of the time in order to, get the maximum deduction possible, right? And so we were thinking about it. I was like, well, I can't be on the road all the time, right? I'm not an Uber and I'm not a cab driver. How can I truly justify to the IRS that this car is working for us 24/7? So here's the brilliant twist. Anthony came up with the idea of getting a QR code. And for those who don't know what a QR code is, I'm sure some might have seen it at restaurants, at menus nowadays with everything that's going on in COVID. But a QR code is literally just a code where you can take your phone, you scan a picture of it, and then voila, it will take you to a website, to something, to whatever you wanted to do. So what we decided to do was to create a code, one in Spanish and one in English, to help people learn about real estate. All they got to do is just to simply take their phone, scan it, and then it will take them straight to our YouTube channel, to Novarise Invest if you are a English speaker, or Novarise Latino if you feel more comfortable with Spanish content. And that is how we managed to put our car work for us 24/7, helping us expand the mission of Novarise, helping us put our name out there, and not just that, helping educating people one person at a time by providing them access to a channel that otherwise they never thought it would have existed, right? Now, I know some of you might be thinking, I don't know, that sounds a little shady. I'm not too convinced. It seems to me that you're actually evading taxes. No. I'm not evading taxes. In fact, this is a strategy that we all created together with my power team, with people that I just mentioned. And I'm not making this stuff up. It's actually in the IRS website. That's why I'm providing you with all the screenshots. So you can actually take that or take this video and go to your accountant and just work it out with him so you can take advantage of the same deductions as well. You see, Uncle Sam doesn't have a problem with you saving money on taxes, okay? He doesn't mind that you save money on taxes as long as you're doing something for the greater good, as long as you're contributing to the growth of the economy and with this country. And what are we contributing? Well, one, we're making this content really accessible for free to everybody. 2, we're actually stimulating the economy because we just bought a new car. 3, we're actually helping the environment once again because we bought an electric vehicle. And then 4, we're generating more jobs. How are we generating more jobs? The more content we create, the more people watch our channels, the more people we hire to help us edit the videos, create sounds, and not just that, the more people we help Google hire because now we're generating even more volume and more views, and then we're helping Google create jobs. And it's all a win-win situation for everybody. And that is pretty much how we did it. Thanks to the assistance of our amazing team, you can do that as well. So hopefully you learned a lot with this episode. I know it's usually not the kind of episode that I will put out there, but I was mind blown with how creative our power team became in making these things happen. And speaking of creativity, I actually need a favor from you. So it is very customary for me to name my cars, right? And with this beautiful Tesla right here, we don't really know exactly what to name them. So what we did is that we narrowed the choices down to 3, and we were kind of hoping to see if we could get your input on it. So amongst the options for naming our car, the first one will be Snow White. Why Snow White? Well, the car is white, so Snow White, and it has 7 seats, so Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. The second option that we came up with was Spartacus, because, it looks strong and fancy and stuff like that. So that's our second option. And then the third one is actually a Spanish name, and we decided to add Monchito to the list, which is short for Ramon, right? So I want you to help us pick the right name for a car by just simply commenting on the description box down below. Which of the 3 names would you like us to assign to our car? So once again, Snow White, Spartacus, or Monchito. And that's pretty much all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode. It's truly different from what I normally do. And I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.